votes for women. All right, let's talk about women's suffrage since we're here. So, during the 20th century, women also decide that it is high time they got the right to vote. And the question they lean on is, can you be a full citizen if you do not have the right to vote for your leaders? Or are you no longer an active member of your country? Now, pre 1900s, very few states have granted women the right to vote. But some of the Western states that have been incorporated into the Union later on do grant women the right to vote, and the suffrage movement will grow during World War I, and after the war, it will finally be passed. So, what do women want the right to vote for? Well, obviously, it's a basic right. They argue that, well, if black men can vote, women should also be able to vote. They argue that it's undemocratic that a member of the country and a citizen of the country doesn't have the right to vote for their government. They are not actively a part of this country if they only get to do what their husband or father or brother or uncle or man says that they can. And especially during World War I, when women have to go take on the jobs that men are supposed to work because the men are off fighting in Europe, if they can work those jobs, then they deserve the right to vote. And people who are against the women's right to vote, why are they against it? Well, for reasons you can probably imagine. It will destroy the home. We cannot have those women out there voting. If they vote, then they'll try to take over everything. Women should not be involved in politics, and they should just be fine with men because men represent what women want, and that's just the way it should be. So we do see a fight for suffrage, and we had started this again back. Oh man, we were even talking about this in Unit 5. I don't even know if it was Unit 6. But women are going to form organizations to gain support, and they build off the Seneca Falls Convention that happened back in 1848 with the Declaration of Sentiments. Now we are going to keep pushing forward. So in 1870, we get a group of women, Mary Ann Shadd Cary, Florence Woodhull, and some others who testify before the House Judiciary Committee and argue that the 14th Amendment, which guarantees equal protection under the law, indicates that women should also have the right to vote. Unfortunately, the House committee rules against the women, but let's be real, we all saw that coming, right? Because they're all men, because women can't be in politics because they don't have the right to vote. So Susan B. Anthony registers to vote anyways, and then she votes. And she is arrested and found guilty of voter fraud without being allowed to testify in court, even though that is a violation of her amendments. So in July 4th of 1876, the suffragists, who are the women who support the right to vote, and there are men, but mostly we associate this word with women, they deliver the Declaration of Rights of Women and the United States. And that's exactly what it sounds like. It is declaring that women have rights. And then we go some years, and in 1890, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, and Carrie Chapman Catt are going to lead the National American Women's Suffrage Association, where they are really going to fight to get women's suffrage. And the 1912 election is going to be the one that really brings women's suffrage to the front of the political issues. And when Alice Paul joins, we're going to see a big shift. So Alice Paul joins the National American Women's Suffrage Association and is named a leader of the Congressional Union. And women across the country are going to participate in protests and marches and demonstrations. And Paul is actually going to add some new strategies. She is going to put women on the streets to speak about suffrage. They are going to hand out pamphlets. They're going to lobby Congress, and they're going to go on speaking tours about why women deserve the right to vote. In 1913, we see the first suffrage parade, and Inez Mulholland causes some tension. Inez Mulholland causes some tension when some states arrive with interracial contingents. Okay? And this is very important because equal suffrage for women does not mean equal between black and white. Black women are told that they need to march at the back of the parade. And Ida B. Wells absolutely refuses. So I'm not marching at the back of any parade here. I am joining the white women up front just like everybody else. the fight for suffrage is just like everything else, where it's for mostly for white people above all. And even as black women, they have to fight even more to get the same thing that the white women are looking for. Not that anybody's getting anything yet. And so in December 1913, the National Association for Women's Suffrage, they actually cut ties with Alice Paul. They decide like she's too aggressive. And she takes the Congressional Union for Women's Suffrage and turns it into the National Women's Party. Now, over the years, they are going to continue to their public fight. They are going to protest and picket Wilson right out front of the White House, hoping to pressure him into supporting their cause, but he does not. He does not think women should vote. Again, women are volunteering in the military as nurses. They are working in all those jobs that the men had left to go fight in Europe, and they had supported Wilson in his campaign for re-election, and now he needs to do something for them. And in 1917, we are going to see a nearly 2-year picket by women called the Silent Sentinels, where they are just going to picket outside of the White House every day in silence. They're not going to yell or anything like that. They're just going to stand there and protest. But the president and the government get fed up with this, and so in the end stages of their protests, many of these women are arrested and thrown in jail, including Alice Paul. And in jail, they decide that they're going to take their actions even further, and they go on a hunger strike because they feel like they are political prisoners, which is true. They haven't done anything wrong. They haven't committed a crime. And Alice Paul is force-fed by the guards in order to keep her alive. And once the treatment of how these women are being treated by the guards becomes public, Wilson is then forced to acknowledge that this is a problem. And then he changes his opinion and his position that he is going to support a woman's constitutional right to vote. And so with the combined efforts of all the women that we named and all the different groups, Congress does pass the 19th Amendment in 1919, and it is ratified and passed in August of 1920. But again, most people who are not white women are going to face the same issues. They'll face the same issues that black men faced after the Civil War. Voting is not for non-white Americans. When we talk about voting rights, we are talking about white American voting rights. So yes, black men have the right to vote. Yes, black women have the right to vote, but they're not allowed to exercise that right. So having the right doesn't mean anything if you can't exercise it. Native women and Native Americans are not considered citizens at all and are not allowed to vote at all. And that won't change until the 1960s. And that's also true of the immigrant groups. Most people who are not white do not have the right to vote. And those that do have the right to vote don't have the ability to exercise it. So progressivism is only progressive to an extent. And we are going to now look at African American reforms and how those play into the push for a changing world before and during World War I.